I'm in my class.
Greetings, everyone. We are now recording. And this evening, we're on key 21, the world. And let's begin. So the world card, which is the last key that we're going to cover. This card is at the bottom of the three cards in the seventh column of the tarot tableau. This column is called the seventh stage of spiritual unfoldment, named cosmic consciousness. So let's look at the tarot tableau just to get an idea of what's going on here. We're covering this little area here. So there is the world, we have the Chariot, and we have Temperance. So those are the three we're going to talk about first. This column is the last stage of spiritual unfoldment, cosmic consciousness. The first card at the top of the column is the Chariot key, 7. That key portrays the principle that the inner self rides within our outer vehicle, also known as our body. It is also a summary of the 6 keys in the top row. So the Chariot's willpower establishes harmony and brings order out of chaos, which is the whole point of us studying the tarot cards. The Chariot expresses itself through the activity taking place on the key below it, called Temperance. Temperance exemplifies the law of verification, and there's your Temperance card. We must try out and then experience in our everyday activities all the lessons of the keys. Through this verification, we arrive at the place that results in the world key. This is the proof is in the pudding key, as my mother would say. The world is the last of the 22 major arcana cards of the tarot deck. You've arrived. Yay! Yeah, good luck with this. The hero's journey is the quest for the inner self. The goal is the self. The knowledge gained is self-knowledge with a capital S. You've discovered that the power of the infinite and eternal self is the only power. The dancer in the middle of this card is you, your eternal self. So let's look at the dancer. That's you. And I will bring a copy up in a minute. Dancing in the dance of life, the universe. Here we have the full realization that we are the self within our vehicle. It makes you very calm to be in that state of mind. Nothing can really go wrong that you can't deal with. So you become extremely calm. And it's not something you make yourself calm. You just wake up in the morning and you're like, everything's gone. That's all good. To understand what the key says, we have some helpful hints at the bottom of the key. So let me move us over a little bit to the side here and see if I can grab this one. There we are. And I think it'll just fit. It's really annoying when I do that. Try again. All right, over there. I have to be careful how many times I click things. I swear. See, I just did it again. All right, we're all up and running. So to understand what the key says, we have some helpful hints placed at the bottom of the key. And that's this little section over here. It's very nice. The first is the card's number 21. That's this number. Next are 4 symbols of its attributes, which can be found in the lower right-hand corner over here. We find there the Hebrew letter Tav, which translates T and TH in English. We have the letter meaning displayed, which is a cross. So you see the little cross here under the lion's head. A cross also means a mark or signature. Interesting. And this is the last card. So it appears that the universe is signing a contract with us. And we have the symbol for the planet Saturn, the ruling planet of this key. Let's go through these hints and explore the picture of the card in order to find out what it's telling us. I'm going to move this. Okay, we have Jessie coming in. I've mentioned before, each key is a chapter in a book. Your inner self knows this book inside and out. There's really nothing for you to learn to memorize. You've just forgotten who you are. And I've moved, how many times? Go over there. I want to have this up, so you can look at it as we go along. Okay, the most important thing is you don't need to memorize everything that you're learning here. You can take notes, you can contemplate them, but in reality, your inner self knows everything. You've just forgotten who you are. And this tarot book is here simply to remind you, giving you hints and insights. What's most intriguing is when we cover the cube of space, on the first face, when we first cover it, I'm going to give you an introduction today about the cube of space. But when we get to the first face of it, you will then find out why you have forgotten everything. Yes, very tricky from the cosmos. Let's look at the number 21. It is the sum of the numbers from 1 to 6. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 equals 21. On the tarot tableau, the Chariot key is the sum of the principles expressed in the cards from 1 to 6. So here on the World key, 21, which is at the directly below the Chariot key, we have the completion of the power of all the principles of those 6 keys, the ones on the first row at the top, as expressed in keys 15 through 20. So this is the end. So this is a summation of 15 through 20, just as the Chariot key was the summation of 1 through 6. Now, reading the number 21 from right to left, which you read numbers in Hebrew from right to left, the number 1 is expressing itself through the number 2. 2 is duality. So this is the Magician key 1, using and directing his tools of concentration through the law of the High Priestess key 2. In other words, self-consciousness, willpower is expressing itself through memory. This is where we have to remember who we are. If we don't remember who we are, we've got a little difficult time going on here. Once you find out all the power of the universe is at your fingertips and flows through you, makes life a lot easier. Translated, we no longer forget who we are. Our willpower manifests the willpower of creation. We live in the 4th dimension from the point of self. We have unlimited access to that willpower. The 4th dimension is quite interesting experience. Saturn rules this card. It is the 7th of the planets known to the ancients. According to mythology, Saturn ate his own children. Put a less ghastly way, Saturn represents creation reabsorbing its own creations. By extension, it's the path of return. Interesting symbology, isn't that? From the Hebrew name for Saturn, Shabbatai, and you all have to forgive me on my enunciation, we get the meaning Sabbath, the day of rest or inertia, and the 7th day of the week. All has been accomplished, so we rest. Saturn on this card gives us the idea of limitation. On a cosmic level, Saturn creates form from the cosmic mind stuff, which is everywhere, as in all around you, everywhere. The mind, everything is just mind. And now we create limitations on that mind. We have vehicles. I have my little mouse, to which I'm always messing things up, and pencils and pens and glasses of water. That's what we use to create out of this mind stuff. Here is an expression of the life's power, the life power's energy being transformed into appropriate, suitable life forms. Now let's move on to the Hebrew letter Tav, associated with this key. It means signature or mark. The mark is the cross. The Egyptian Tau, or Tao, corresponding to this letter, was a tally for measuring the depth of the Nile during planting season and when it flooded. In the old Hebrew alphabet, it was written as a simple cross of equal arms, like on the banner of the angel in key 20. In the tarot symbology, it represents the self-conscious mind. And an easy way to remember that is it also represents the four elements: fire, air, earth, and water. And we need our self-conscious mind to function in the elements of nature. Tav is one of the 7 double Hebrew letters which are attributed to the 7 planets. Double letters are pairs of opposites. Tav is both dominion and slavery. Interesting combo. The attribute of dominion is the ability to understand correctly the necessity for limitation. Get it wrong, and we become slaves to our environment, our attachments, our stuff. We must know how the law of nature works in order to get this right. Tav also means signature. A signature makes a business instrument valid. Yeah, when you sign your mortgage payment, your mortgage agreement, or all your work contracts, yeah, definitely makes it valid. You can go to court with it. Tav, as the last letter of the alphabet and on the last major tarot card, makes this key the final seal and completion of the great work, signed, sealed, and delivered. According to the Book of Formation, at the center of the cross is where the one identity has its abode. Looking at the picture, what is striking are the 4 figures in the corners. They look identical to key 10, the Wheel of Fortune. There is one change, though. The bull on key 21 is now looking out rather than toward the lion. So the bull, here's 10, looking towards inward, and now he's looking out. The 4 figures represent the 4 fixed signs of the zodiac: the bull to Taurus, the lion to Leo, the eagle to Scorpio, the man to Aquarius. On key 10, the bull, which represents the element earth and manifestation of form, is turned towards the lion. The lion is ruled by the sun. Plus, the bull faces towards the center of the card, where spirit is depicted. So here, our attention is concentrating on spirit. The opposite is shown on key 21. All the forces on the world are moving outward toward manifestation. On another note, these 4 fixed signs of the zodiac add up to 26, which is the same number of the name imprinted on the inner garment of the Fool, the Tetragrammaton, Yod-He-Vah-He, right here. Having them at the 4 corners of the world card reminds us that all manifestation is included within that name. Isn't that interesting? The math always works in the tarot. So the 4 fixed signs of the zodiac add up to 26, which is the name of God. Continuing with the letter Tav, it is assigned to the path of wisdom 32, which is found between foundation and kingdom on the tree of life. Path 32 is called the administrative intelligence. Administration relates to running a business and organization. You're in charge. Tav is located at the point of control, the heart, found at the center of our being. This is not in the physical sense, but rather the place where we are connected with the all, the place of our sovereignty. So it's not in your head, it comes from your heart. When Jesus showed up, what was his mantra? It was love. And love is the only thing that protects you, the only thing that gives you power. So this is not the physical sense where the heart is found, but rather the place where we are connected with the all, the place of our sovereignty. It's our consciousness. It's our awareness that where you function from, the mind you live in, that you've created around yourself. We are now functioning from the heart, not our mind or our intellect or our knowledge. The transmission of light, power, and wisdom coming from creation, which goes through us, moves through this point, the heart, expressing love. Gee, this goes back way before Jesus. He just came to remind us. The wreath is a figure which, if you place a rectangle over it, would be 5 by 8. This makes the area of this rectangle 40. Which is the numerical value of the mother letter Mem. Mem is the letter of key 12, the hanged man. He is at the place of silence. Then if we add up the length of the 4 sides, we get 26. And this is the number of the tetragrammaton, Yod-He-Vah-He. Again, the 4 letters written on the undergarment of the fool, which is the name of our creator. To conclude, the wreath expresses the form of all manifestation. Isn't it great they created these cards? They're so complex, and yet they convey simply that complex understanding. And thank heavens, they work directly on your subconscious mind. So if you have all these objections in your conscious mind and all of these limitations you've placed on yourself and your abilities, it bypasses them. It's kind of like taking communion, you know? I don't know what's going on, whatever. And you just drink it, blood of Christ, and you're good to go. Yeah. The cosmos is very interesting in the things that it gets us to do, so we can remember who we are and how powerful we are. So let's look at the wreath a little further. Let's look at the wreath a little further and see what it reveals about this idea. It has 22 bunches of leaves in sets of 3. From this, we can assume each bunch corresponds to a Hebrew letter, which in turn corresponds to one of the 22 tarot keys. Each of the 3 leaves expresses one of the 3 operations of the life power. So what is that? The first operation is integrative, and we talked about this on the last key, if I'm correct, which means serving or intending to unify separate things. Again, the meaning of integrative means to serving or intending to unify separate things. The second operation is disintegrative, which means to separate into parts or loose solidness, to break up, to deteriorate. The third operation is equilibrating. Now realize that's all around the character there. This is the wreath. Equilibrating. This is the cognitive balancing of new information with old information. So you can see that the third operation balances the other two. So you're continuously changing, you're dissolving and creating, and it has to be integrated. And we've talked about this because in the past that you get all excited about spiritual ideas, and yet you're still living in a body that's got 7 years worth of cells in it that are where you used to be. So you need to integrate your vehicle, your body, to where your mind and your heart are headed. So sometimes you'll think, oh, I learned these wonderful things. I did these exercises and all this stuff comes up, and your body's like, I want to go to bed early tonight. And I really, let's go out drinking with the guys. So your body changes every 7 years. So be patient. All those little cells become illumined as you do, and they follow you. But this is a challenge, and it's okay. Because why rush? You live for eternity. There's, where are you going, guys? So the wreath is woven. So this wreath did not make itself. It's telling us that natural selection won't spontaneously get us into the fourth dimension. We must participate through the use of our willpower to get to this key. Your willpower got you to this class and series of classes. So good choice. There are two red fasteners at the top and the bottom of the wreath. So you see these little guys up here and down here. Their color red signifies action and courage. The shape of the fasteners is the figure 8 on its side. This is the infinity symbol, which signifies the concept of limitlessness or eternity. And interesting to note, this is also an ancient form of the letter Tav, which rules this card. The two fasteners are binding the wreath. So you could say that man binds the wreath, nature by the power expressed by Tav, the heart. Sweet. The dancer wears a crown of 7 red flowers. The dancer's authority, the crown, always an authority symbol as a crown, is fully manifest. The flowers are in bloom. The 7 refers back to the Chariot card at the top of this column. The willpower expressed on that card is now fully manifest on this card. I'm going to pull you guys down so others can see themselves. Look at the wreath again.
Hey, Margot, I think I'm getting called in. Emergency to Cath Lab.
Okay.
All right.
Ta-ta, Eli.
You're in our prayers, Eli, and whoever you're going to see.
Thank you.
So look at the wreath again. It's resting on the bull and the lion. The bull signifies our ability to give form to the formless. It's facing out, the direction of manifestation. The lion signifies the fiery essence, that which is formless. Our ability to create the wreath rests on our ability to give form to the formless. Now, we have the power of the word and our ability to think. The wreath is in the form of an ellipse, a 0 symbol, the symbol of our creator. The figure is free to dance in the center and is not bound by the wreath. This is because the figure knows everything there is to know about the wreath. The dancer is the master. The figure is covered by a purple veil in the form of the letter Kaf, which hides the fact that the figure is neither male nor female, but an androgen. Kaf takes us back to key 10, the Wheel of Fortune. Here we are. And there's the little Kaf down there. So Kaf rules the Wheel of Fortune card. To our third dimensional mind, nature looks like a vast machine with the activity of cause and consequence unchangeable. Laws are part of manifestation. At our fourth dimensional awareness, where we are on key 21, this is only relatively true. The life force is the master. No law can bind the self. The figure dances in the middle, unbound, standing on nothing, perfectly balanced. So you've entered the fourth dimension on this card. So other consciousness that comes into play, other activity. There are 22 letters in the Hebrew alphabet and 22 tarot keys. The consciousness contained in each key is symbolized by the 2 spirals or wands. They each have 11 loops. So these wands each have 11 loops, and they're going in opposite directions. Here we have involution in the right hand and evolution in the left hand. The life force at work, perfectly balanced. And this manifestation takes place through you. You are the director and the sovereign of all that manifests. You are the master, the I am. This is the divine name of the crown of primal will on the tree of life. Remember the An Sup Or, the formless, the nameless is behind the tree of life. Remember the song An Sup Or is black, the most royal of all colors, the most sacred of all colors. It is before formlessness. It is formlessness before form. That's why it's black. And then there's the first light. The practical power of this key is for you to identify with the self. You have to get used to hanging out with your inner self and hanging out with creation and wondering about creation. Take a flower and look at it and ask it, show me yourself. I'm wondering about you. And creation, which is infused in that flower, will speak to you. It's just getting into the habit. And the more you want to interact with creation consciously, well, it loves you. It loves every being on this planet, for no matter what they're doing. It loves every being on this planet and will deliver to you the information you need. It's like Google on steroids. That's all I can say.
Margot,
Yeah.
could you repeat what you said about the color black, please?
Okay, the color black is behind the tree of life.
Mhm.
So it's complete pitch blackness. It's pre-manifestation.
So it contains all things.
Exactly. And then the word is spoken and we have light. So you could go back to Genesis in the Bible, the first chapter there. So the word is spoken and you have light. And we speak. Every time you talk, you're creating.
Yeah.
From nothing. But it isn't, it's nothing, no thing that is all potential, and therefore it's black. All potential.
So I'm sorry to bring it.
Yes, no, go
to bring
ahead.
this up. Is it opposite of white in some way or no?
It is in a sense, because the combination in alchemy or in mysticism, the combination of black and white is wisdom, which is why it's on the hermit's robe.
Wow.
So it's balance. So now you have the figure here of the world, of you, the self, perfectly balanced, holding these involution and evolution wands. And that's the return. This is the point. And you're in the fourth dimension, which is a very viscerally different way of experiencing the third dimension. Having had a few experiences of that, just walking into it, or having somebody come and they're extending themselves so that to the extent they can, you get to feel that different energy and be in it. So the practical power of this key is for you to identify with the self. In alchemy, this awareness is known as the philosopher's stone. You could also, just to remind you about the term stone, ich bin, which is spelled, we spell it EHBN, but it's the three letters Alf, Beth, and Noon. And if you combine those three letters, it's translated into English as the word stone. And it means father, or if you take the first two letters, they mean father. You take the second two letters, they mean son. It means the father and son are one, which means we know we're one with God. And that is what if you rest on that, that will definitely, if you know you're one with God, the philosopher's stone would personify that. You identify with the self. Here we have the mineral kingdom as the truly wise perceive it. Remember the Pythagorean triangle discussed on the Moon Key 18? If not, go back and take a look at it. We are at the end of the keys. The goal, okay, so I'll just remind you, the hypotenuse of that triangle starts out with the bottom minerals, vegetables, organic matter, then it goes to animals, then it goes to humans, and then it goes to superhumans. Of course, us fully realized and functioning from self. We are at the end of the keys. The goal of the great work is to know the self, but not merely as a witness, not to be aware as something external. It is the immortal central self of you that is the eternal dancer. You can't do this intellectually. So what's great about the tarot cards is it puts you in the position of experiencing this. So trying to find who's this. It puts you in a point of experience, because none of this can be accomplished intellectually. You can read a ton of books and it's not going to get you anywhere. You need to actually try things out. Well, just as my telling you, take a flower and talk to it, or the orange exercise. You have to start working with the cosmos, which is all around us, behind you, in front of you, below you. And so you have to do these things that don't seem sensible to the third dimensional mind. But you're here, so it should help you to move along. I would suggest now that you begin again at the Fool key and work your way through the cards one more time. You will find that when rereading them, more will be revealed to you than on your first time through. That's because you are now an entirely different person than when you began. And that new person will see and experience the cards in an entirely different light. As you begin again, spend a few minutes looking at each card before beginning to read. Allow the card to speak to you. Ask it, what would you like to reveal to me now? Show me more. Tell me more. I wonder about you. And then be quiet and don't try and figure it out. And you may hear a little voice, you know, that fifth card, the Hierophant, the teacher. You may have a little voice that will tell you something. So this is your hero's journey. Just by getting this far, you are doing well along the way to your personal transformation. Smile and enjoy it. And there you are. So we're going to move on now to a little exercise that I found. Does anyone have questions on this? It's a lot of information, I agree. We have in the Holy Order of Men's, which I entered 50 years ago, has a set of classes called the Tree of Life classes. And they're not really the tarot, but they are written alchemically, which is to say that you can read them and 5 years later, you can start at the beginning and you would have this feeling you'd never seen them before. So we offer those on our website, the Holy Order of Man's. There's Tree of Life classes on there. And from time to time, someone volunteers to teach them off our website. So here we are. And I would like to start in with the cube of space with you guys. So today I'm going to, let's wrap this up. And first, let's find this little exercise that I tossed onto the website today. And it is called, it's a visualization exercise. And it's concentration and has to do with your ears. So let's follow this. It's not very long. It's a great photo. So it is possible through exercises and concentration to develop your spiritual ears to a point where they will be more sensitive than they are now. And you can visit my website to find this, and it's under, as you know, Gates of Light, Traveling Through the Tarot. So you can always find, and this particular section is under visualization. So I'm throwing all these new ones under there. The first and most, and I will add, it's also on the Holy Order of Man's curriculum site, the holyorderofmans.org site, which is not the one you go to come to this class, which is the .com site, but the .org. And there's a curriculum, and if you check it out, you're going to find some very interesting things on there. So the first and most important step in this process is to concentrate on your ears while sitting in meditation or concentration at home. Give about 1 or 2 minutes of concentration to your ears each day. So I'm going to have you all close your eyes, and I'll just read the rest, and then you can come back to this at some point if it interests you. So during your concentration, hold the thought that it is your spiritual consciousness in your human body that you are directing to your ears and concentrating there so that it stimulates their functioning and power to the utmost. I'll repeat that. During your concentration, hold the thought that it is your spiritual consciousness in your human body that you are directing to your ears and concentrating there so that it stimulates their functioning and power to the utmost. If you keep this up for about 2 minutes, you should gradually feel a sensation of warmth and perhaps a little tingling to the inner part of your ears. You might not sense this until after the 3rd or 4th week of such concentration. From that time on, you should feel the warmth coming to your ears very easily after beginning the concentration. From then on, you may notice certain slight sounds and impressions of sweet musical notes in the air, or a humming sound of a sweet tone, occasionally coming from the atmosphere when everything is quiet. The moment you stop your concentration, you will not hear these sounds. But whenever you want to hear them, it should be possible to stop whatever you are doing for a moment and concentrate your attention on your ears and immediately hear certain high-pitched sounds, which will indicate that the spiritual part of your ears is functioning. Remember that 1 or 2 minutes of concentrating your attention on your ears as though you were putting all of your mental thought into them, unaware of any other part of your body, is all you will have to do. And then later we'll discuss another point regarding the ears. So With your eyes closed, I'll just read that one phrase and we'll just sit and be quiet for a minute. Hold the thought that it is your spiritual consciousness in your human body that you are directing to your ears and concentrating there so that it stimulates their functioning and power to the utmost. Take a deep breath. All right. We are going to take a look at an introduction to the cube of space. We won't cover one of the sides yet. We'll do them. Since there's 6 sides, we'll have 3 classes on them. So this is just the introduction. It's kind of fun. Also, remember that wherever you place your focus, you enliven. You give life to it because life goes through us. Our word, our thinking, we're co-creators with creation. Things don't happen to us. It goes through us. So, introduction to the cube of space. We begin our story about the cube of space by referring to the Sefer Yetzirah, translated loosely in English to the Book of Formation. An attempt was made in this book to explain the creative acts of God through the use of numbers, letters, and words. Sounds familiar, sounds like the tarot. The author uses as the basis of his explanation the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet, each of which has a number and word or concept attributed to it. The form used to express this overall concept is a cube. So just to mention, remember the characters in the tree of life, most of them are sitting on, many of them are sitting on cubes of space. Cubes of space, sitting on cubes. So you've got the high priestess, the empress, the emperor, the hierophant, and you've even got the summation of this whole column on a cube, sitting in a cube. And then you have the half cube over here, the point of deception, the deceiver. So let's find out about this cube. Okay, so this is a dot that manifests and extends in 6 directions, as in the 6 faces of a cube, to eternity. So that's the concept of the cube we're talking about. Needless to say, some have spent their entire lives discussing the ramifications of this teaching. It has been said that this cube of space is a beautifully detailed map of initiation that all souls will eventually follow. In this discussion, I will give you a brief outline of the elements that make up the cube. I'm going to go down just for a little change. I explained the tie between each Hebrew letter and each of the 22 major arcana tarot cards. The Hebrew alphabet has 3 mother letters, which reside and move in the interior of the cube. They represent the 3 elements of fire, air, and water. The corresponding tarot cards are Judgment for fire. We have Judgment over here. Air, okay, and the Fool for air. There's the Fool for air. And the Suspended Man for water. Remember, mem, water, down here. The mother letters stand for oh God, my English is going. Equilibrated forces, those that bring balance and perfect harmony. The Fool moves from above to below. So he's going above, down on this cube. The suspended man moves from east to west within the cube. So here's your suspended man, and he's going east to west. Oops, suspended man. Here's east to west, the front to the back. The judgment card moves north to south. So this is considered the north side going to the south side. The alphabet has 7 double letters. Each double letter is a pair of opposites and is spoken 2 ways. The double letters represent the 7 planets. Each letter adorns a face of the cube, 6 faces in all, with 1 double letter at the center of the cube. The double letters stand for changeable forces. An example would be Beth, which has the double meaning of life and death, or Kaf, which has the double meaning of wealth and poverty. These would be extremes of the same polarity. So the faces of the cube are considered expressing a direction and therefore are named north, south, east, west, above and below. The letter in the, and I go into detail when we do each face. This is just to give you an idea. The letter in the middle of the cube is called the center. North is the tower. Let's see if I have one of these guys. No, I just brought those up. So north is the tower. South is the sun. East is the empress. West is the wheel of fortune. Above is the magician. Below is the high priestess. And so that's below, down at the bottom. And in the center is the world, which you can see the world right there. And this has to do with, in the Sefer Yetzirah, that the Hebrew letters are assigned to all of these attributes. And then we assign the tarot cards for those Hebrew letters to the sides. And then we start to get a story. And that story we'll talk about next week. So this is a little mind-boggling because I'm sort of giving you an overview of a huge amount of information, but you have covered it to some degree when we covered each card. So the 12 edges on the cube are made up of the 12 simple Hebrew letters. The simple letters are attributed to the 12 signs of the zodiac. They also each represent a part of the human body. Oh my God, it does get complicated. Thank God you don't have to memorize anything. Just hang in there. They are considered constant forces. The simple letters are considered constant forces. Again, directions are used to define each of the edges. Hang in there. Northeast is the emperor. Southeast is the teacher. East above is the lovers. East below is the chariot. North above is strength. North below is the hermit. Northwest is justice. Southwest is transition. West above is temperance. West below is the deceiver. South above is the star. And south below is the moon. So I just know that you're bleary-eyed by now. The best way to do this, I built a little cube and then I wrapped the cards around it. Yes. If you can find the time, you might consider making a large cube and placing the tarot cards on it, as mentioned above. Then it would be easier to visualize. But I do, when we go over the classes, I have created cubes for each face, and you can, so you're not, it's all in little bits and pieces, so it'll be a lot easier to conceptualize.
Martha,
Yeah.
I have a pattern somewhere that Cynthia gave us that I can send you, and then you can send everybody and they can print it out and you fold it.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And it's in color so you can see it all.
Okay, that would be great.
Big.
I have kept track of all of you. Let me see, go up. I have all your names and email addresses. So if you get this, that would be great. Okay. Go ahead and do that. Thank you so much.
Uh-huh.
Renee. So yeah, I know. It's interesting. My altar is actually, which I never realized, I mean, until I got into the tarot, it's a table that's 3 by 3 by 3. It is actually a cube. And I went, well, that's kind of interesting. And I wasn't into the tarot yet. So I would sit at this, and then I realized I could never let go of this altar, because I always thought, well, it's really big because it sits 3 feet out. And I always thought, well, at some point I'm going to change it. I am never going to change it at this point. Once I started studying the cube of space, because it helped me to put the cards on it one day. And that was really kind of fun. Okay, so
I have a
yes.
question.
And so, yes.
Does the cube of space map onto the tree of life, or is it different? Or is it like, if I learn one, is it going to help me learn the other?
It will help you. They do correspond, because the tree of life has the cards on it and all the Hebrew letters on it. You'll see how they relate to how they interact. It does add another dimension to the whole thing. But I'm trying to do this in baby steps. So, but they do relate. Huge, yeah. So please also think about that each of the 22 paths on the cube is assigned a sound and color. God spoke the word of creation. The word is made up of sounds, and sounds are identified by symbols called letters. Sounds are at different rates of vibration, as are colors. And so if you think about it, the use of vibration has the ability to both create and to break down that which has been created. The combination of the cards on each face creates a particular vibration with which we interact. I'm trying to think. I actually. My little cube of space. Oh, yes, I think. I created a little cube of space. And I think this is what Renee is talking about. And it's from a sheet of paper, and then I folded it and glued it together. So I think this is what she's talking about, which is great because you have it right in front of you, so you can visualize it. So let's move on. Our next step is to see how we got on the cube. Then we'll take a look how we got into creation, so how we got on the cube. Then we'll take a look at the first place that we land on its surface, which is the west face. This has nothing to do with our concept of the planet Earth, and that we may live in the west and others may live in the east. Please leave that behind. The west face of the cube will be defined by the Hebrew letters located there, and thus by the tarot cards that they represent. So next week, see if I can move us over. We will go to Cube of Space, Part 1. And that's what it looks like. That's actually getting born into the west face. So I get into that, how we get born, all the letters, and then there's the west face and how we come out and what we first come in contact with. So that will be next week. And we're in great shape. And here we are. So the cube of space is great fun, I must say. And it definitely ties into the tree of life, for sure. And we can talk about that as we go along.
Is it also Paul Foster Case's invention, or is it?
Oh, this is from the book, the foundational book that I had at the, let's see, move us over. Okay, I'm going to scoot us over, and I'm going to go down to the Yetzer. Let's see, introduction. This book. So let me show you this book. Well, I'm not doing share with you. So the Book of Formation. The Book of Formation was translated, and each of the Hebrew letters was put on a face and on the edges. So you've got the 6 faces, 12 edges, and then what are the cards in the center? And Paul Case talks about this when he talks about the emperor card. And he also has written about this. So I went through this particular book, the Sefer Yetzirah, and made a lot of notes and just spent time doing cross-referencing, but it definitely ties in with Paul Case. He's, to me, the master of all of this. This is what, yeah, he's the one we all refer back to. He's the main man on this. And I just feel really fortunate. I read a lot of books about him and his books, and books that have been published in the aughts, like 2008 or whatever, from some of his notes. So that I'm sure all of you have seen most of the literature about him. So there you have it. And I just find that looking into space makes what we have to do more easily to comprehend. And when you're on the path, there are certain things that you do in opening up your heart that take in service. One of the wonderful things is teaching. When you teach, you actually learn more than the students when you share and teach. Yeah. If when I first was in the order, they would give us these Tree of Life classes, which I read a little bit of, and I'm down in a center in San Diego, and I'd come home from work and they go, okay, you're teaching this tonight. And I'd have 7 or 8 students show up, and I'd just open up the book. It was a 3-ring binder because we're going back, photocopying was iffy and all. So open it up and start reading. And at the end, I would go back up and to the priest and go, oh my God, I had no idea what I just learned. But I got feedback from the students. I actually ran into one many years later, and she said it was really strange because we would be thinking something and you would answer a question that we were thinking and not one we asked. I had no idea that was going on until she expressed it to me.
Mm-hmm.
And she and I became we're dear friends then, but I had left the order by then. So what I'm expressing is when you do this, it's the experience of it, because the cosmos works through you. So I found that the more I got into doing the tarot, it's just like peeling an onion. It just goes on forever. The one who has created the beautiful guidelines, of course, is Paul Foster Case. So I find that, but creation will give you more individually as you travel through this, and it will open you up to experiences you have in your everyday life, which is the whole point of this. So on that note, thank you for being here for another evening.
Thank you.
And I look forward to
Yes.
all of you again next week. And this will be fun, because if you can get off the west face, you're good to go. And I'll leave you with that note.
Oh,
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks again. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Good night, all.
Bye-bye.
All.